One day you'll need Isabelle Maguire in your deck. She'll swing a golf club, close the vid screen, then whisper, "No." How are you doing? I know you're on 5-1 right now.
This is the 5-1.
Oh, it's the 5-1. Yeah, I split my first 2 games. So yeah, 2 splits. Then I got crushed and got swept. That's why I'm just going around bothering random people. Yeah, my channel's not as classy as yours, but I try. Okay, let's see if I can bother some more people. Oh dear, okay, well, bad one. Sorry. Hello and welcome. In this episode of Seedy Location, I'm going to be going over my experience at regionals. At the start, I just want to get the agendas out of my HQ as quickly as possible. The thing I like about this deck is its economy is very resilient. I can go down to 0 and recover quite nicely, in fact, and still afford to res ice somehow. So I just fire off the beta test. Hopefully, I've got 19 pieces of ice in there. The odds were quite good for me there because I got most of the agendas in my hand there, that I was going to get another piece of ice. Unfortunately, this time I only got 1 brainstorm, and the rest was trashed. But there we go, those are the risks you take. Okay, the main thing this deck is trying to do is just res as much ice as possible, get that glacier up and tax the runner out. The whole backbone of this deck, believe it or not, is Executive Bootcamp, which unfortunately failed to appear in this game. I don't know if it would have changed anything majorly really, because Criminal is one of the problem factions for this. I mean, Anarch's not too bad, Shaper's not too bad, it can tax them out fairly nicely, but for some reason Criminal, they just seem to get this up because of the early pressure they can put on. Now, this whole weakness stems from its primary weakness, in fact, which is the high variance. Sometimes this deck can just really sneak up on people, and other times it's just dead in the water for some reason. And I think the 2 of Executive Bootcamp is the reason for that, but the thing is, I want this to be kind of like a corporate shaper, if I can best describe it. Using Executive Bootcamp, I can tutor for Elizabeth Mills, which I can use to trash locations, remove bad pub, or I can tutor for a Jackson if I need a Jackson, or I can tutor for a Adonis campaign or an Eve campaign if I want to get money, which I did, I think I may have done already. Unfortunately, it also relies heavily on operational econ like Sweeps Week, Hedge Fund, and 1 single peak efficiency. This is what makes my economy really resilient. Again, because if I res up all this ice, I can just play a peak efficiency. All of a sudden I'm down from 1 credit or 0 credits up to 8 or 9 credits, and overscoring the Vitruvius, which is highly important, just lets you do it as many times as you need to. So you could essentially spend a whole turn gaining sometimes 30 credits if you res enough ice, or maybe gaining 12 credits if you want to play Hedge Fund 3 times, or Sweeps Week 3 times in fact even. And I got Sweeps Week as well just because I was seeing a few Andys around when I was testing, so I thought, why not? I've also got a power shutdown in there just to slow things down, and finally my last hate card, which is a Snatch and Grab, which did some work, which does work against Criminal, because you can see how many connections Geist has here, and you can see if I could get the Elizabeth Mills off, I could have trashed most of his corporate draw with the off-campus apartment. Unfortunately, he was very smart using the Fall Guys to counter that, and again, I think putting in 2 Jacksons may have been a mistake. I know, I barely use Jackson. I only use Jackson because I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. But I think I should have probably gone down to 1 Jackson and used an archive memory so I can repeat the process more reliably. But yeah, I suppose most people would say Jackson's never a mistake. Using the 19 pieces of ice here, lots of next ice just to set up the glacier, and I've got a few lumps with a Wotan, a Brainstorm, and one next gold. The rest is just designed to tax out Faust with multiple subs. So you got the Eli's, you got the Victors, got the Vixram, you got 2 Eve campaign. We've also got a corporate sales team, again just to get the money flowing, and a single corporate troubleshoot which I can use to protect R&D. It's kind of like a instant kill condition if I can just get them to run the Brainstorm. That really makes running really inefficient, because you don't know if I'm just going to hit you with it again. And if you haven't got David out, well, yeah, David out, you get 3 counters. If you've got more than 3 cards, you're in trouble. Yeah, still going to take up to 2 brain damage, so I'm not too worried about David there. But yeah, that's basically what the deck does. It's just a little bit of Glacier, a little bit of Boot Camp to stop Valencia in the blackmail. Also remove the bad pub with Elizabeth Mills. The Boot Camp can use to tutor anything I need. I've also got a toy box in there to hard res the Wotan or the Brainstorm. Or if I'm actually down to 0, I can just, instead of having to click for 3 credits, I can just click and res the ice. And yeah, it helps me out in a lot of games. Yeah, so this deck won 4 out of 7 games, and the 3 I lost, 2 of them were pretty close. Only 1 time was it actually truly overwhelmed. And yeah, the high variance, it's a real issue, something I need to work on. And I still had 1 influence left over in this deck, even with all the most wanted list cards and everything. Still had 1 influence left over, but I didn't feel like I needed to use it. And if I tried to force it, it would have been fake. Yeah, I took out all the fast advanced elements, but I think I could put them back in if I really needed to, because they do help sometimes. Yeah, maybe I can put that one on Biotic back in the deck. Either way, that was my custom Biotics, and again, there's going to be a deck list in the description. Give it a try. I mean, you might not just play it for maybe 1 or 2 matches, and understand what all the pieces do, because that's what the description's there for. I think you'd be quite surprised about the amount of flexibility you have with it, even though you don't have fast advance in this version. If you want to put a fast advance in there and play it, if someone thinks that you're playing this exact version, just slip in a fast advance card, then you'll surprise them. That's the whole idea behind custom Biotics. I think I'll go to talk about the runner now, my Exile. Now, before the most wanted list, I used to have a very aggressive build of Exile, and I used to call it Violent Ken, out of the Mugen game where you could customize your Ken, and there was a Ken that was quite violent called Violent Ken. And basically what I used to do was use Imp, Utopia Shard, Nerve Agent and Demolition Run just to wreck HQ, because I found that people used to protect R&D, and when they didn't protect HQ, I'd just wreck it. And then they'd finally let me to R&D, and I'd just wreck that as well with R&D interface and demolition runs to there. And it was quite fun for me. Didn't always win, but people were always shocked and scared, and they were just like, okay, I don't know what to do. I've never faced this before. Oh, I was expecting to use all these cards. I was going to Cecil Scorch you next turn, but all my cards are gone. And so I never needed to pack Plascrete, because I'd just destroy it, or I'd just use clone chips to survive it. And then I'd just wreck them with the same old thing and punish them for trying to kill me. But unfortunately, the most wanted list has made that rather difficult, because, you know, Exile's the most powerful one in the game right now, so they've had to do multiple nerfs with the personality profiles, the blacklists, you know, all these things just to stop him from, you know, overpowering the game. I also didn't come with my most, so I'm trying to find a new, most competitive version of Exile that's not the dumpster gamble, although I do use the cash shop, because whoever came up with that is a mad genius, and I'd like it so much better than the Pawn Deep Red engine, and I have to respect that. Although I should probably try and do a deck that can use both and see how that goes. Yeah, that might be something to experiment with. However, what I have found that works with Exile really well is Imp. Surprisingly, it's very disruptive. It can use it to protect yourself. That and one of Film Critic, because you've got two outs. You got an out you can tutor out to stop yourself from stealing agendas, but you can still like get rid of them, or you can import infrastructural cards or seesaw scorches. You know, just anything to disrupt, because shapers don't disrupt. Unfortunately, I cut it down to 2 Aesop's pawn shop, which I realise now was a mistake. Unless you have the draw to back it up. I got rid of all the draw cards out of this version. I do have a Hades shard, however, which really does do some work. Well, at least it can at least net you 1 or 2 points if people aren't paying attention. But again, I can't do it all the time because most people are aware of it, so sometimes I have to switch it out. Escher is a nice surprise considering it does give you access to some nice places sometimes. Unfortunately, putting the Utopia shard in this build was a mistake. I mean, without the demolition runs and the nerve agents, it just doesn't do enough work. I mean, it doesn't even... I mean, it can disrupt the Scorched Earth, but it doesn't always do that. And if you're going to do it, always do Utopia shard first, then fire the Hades shard. I've learned that the hard way because that cost me a game. I'm running Mimic in this version. I don't normally run Mimic because boosting his strength can be a pain. I've tried doing Mimic with 2 personal touches or 3 personal touches to get up to stage 6, and that works if you got the draw and the clicks to do it, but I don't always have that. Yeah, Mimic is a good card. I do see why people run it, but setup can be a pain. I also put in Employee Strike in this one. Very niche card, but I was seeing a lot of niche decks, a lot of IG that I don't like, a lot of Argus that I don't like. Doesn't do much against NEH, but Polana it kind of helps out as well. But since it's a one-off and I don't have much draw, I can't get it reliably. But the Dinosaurus does help with the Mimic, because I've seen mostly strength 5. I mean, I do have a one-off sharpshooter in case I do see the odd Archer, which I did see in this tournament, and I was ready for it, thank goodness. But yeah, I really weaken this deck, and I've got to try and find a way to get it back to a more competitive status. Because again, it doesn't normally... I mean, it doesn't always win. It gets to 6 points a lot of the time when I get competitive. It's just getting that 7th point, which I put in a notoriety, and that did help a lot. That did help push it over in a lot of cases. What I did find works well was when I had Artist Colony with fan sites. Right now I've just got the Artist Colony, but I took out the fan sites, but it was a mistake. I should put back in the fan sites, because the instant tutor effect when I really needed it really does help. Not to mention that you can, if you've got a plus, you can install it whenever you need it. It's just a really useful ability. Not to mention with my not to mention getting money out of nowhere with cash, or just installing an ASOPs when I need it. Yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into this because again, it didn't win a single game. My custom biotics was the only reason why I got any of my wins. I really made a mess of my Exile. I have to redo it. The inclusion of Proco was the only thing that really saved it, and it gave me a lot of stable economy, but I can't always rely on Proco, and I don't always need to rely on Proco when I'm using my other builds, because the cash shop with using the test running cash or scavenging cash just gets me so much money, especially off the Shahrazad. I did have a one-off software computer, the 2-cost hardware that has 1 recurring credit for installing programs. That was actually kind of helpful in most cases, but I didn't always get it reliably. But it did help a lot with the cash, just give that 1 extra credit, and I did sometimes pack the Grimoire, and that just give you even more money, and I got stupid amounts of money with that and Deja Vu. But not in this version. Again, the influence is far too tight with the clone chips and the lady. I've tried taking out the lady and putting in a snowball. it does slow you down heavily if you rely on Snowball, but yeah, it's just so tight. But there is hope in Pack 6. I'm going to try an interesting, more disruptive build with the cards from Pack 6. I'm just hoping that it does something that not everyone jumps all over it, but we'll see when the time comes. I hope you had a good regional or nationals in your case. Give me some suggestions for these decks. I'm going to post in the deck list below if you've got any thoughts about it. Give them a try. Well, give the custom Biotics a try. The Exile I wouldn't recommend. It's not my best work. I'll try to rework that again. Give the custom Biotics a try at the very least. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, opinions and views. Maybe I missed something. Maybe you've got something better. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to my video. Goodbye and good luck.